So James, how have the boys reacted this week in training following Saturday's match?
Yeah, look, we got them in at the start of the week, and as you would expect, they were a bit low and down and still hurting from the performance. But like I spoke after the game, it wasn't something we were going to dwell on. We had, and that's consistent over the course of your career in football. I've lost more games than I've won myself, so I know that feeling. As a player, I mean, so like you do hurt, and it ruins your weekend, like it ruins the weekend of the supporters, particularly with a level of performance. That's I think that's the bit that's annoyed the players the most, and collectively as a group we all hold our hands up for that. But as soon as you get them back on the grass, and it's not been, we've not drastically changed the week in terms of come in and watch loads of video and sat them down and watched the full 94, 95 minutes of that game. That wouldn't have worked, that wouldn't have helped. Obviously there's been the usual analysis of the game, what we could have done better. There wasn't much that we done well in the game, so that was cut a bit shorter this week. But as soon as you get them back on the grass, they're fine, and you get them going, and they've responded really well. I'm delighted with the response from them, because it's probably the first real big test in terms of a poor performance with a defeat added into it. There's been poor performances, of course there have, but we've maybe come away with a point or whatever in certain games. But this was the first time that there was a poor performance and we lost the game as well. So it was a wee test to see how they would be, but no, they've been great since they come back in.
And just general team news ahead of the weekend?
Rhys Breen and Paul Allen will be back in the squad, which we're delighted about. Both have trained really well this week. Ben will be touch and go again. He's got a minor thigh strain at the minute. We'll wait and see how that develops over the next 48 hours, and we'll give Ben to Saturday morning if need be, and we'll assess it from there. The other ones are all the same. Dennis got a good 90 minutes in the reserve game down at Queen of the South on Tuesday, so delighted to get him some 90 minutes. But apart from those two, then the others are still where they're at, the long-term ones.
As you mentioned there, the reserves, and it was a real young squad that went down to Dumfries, but you must have been really pleased with the result and the performance overall. Must be great that guys that have been on the bench and chapping at the bit to try and impress you, and Jake Sutherland and Taylor Sutherland, for example, managing to get a double each.
Yeah, those two were a real handful, and they'll continue to be that. I think they're at different stages in their career, and they're really good to work with. And Taylor has been in and around the first team a lot. He's obviously went on loan, and we believe that loan will benefit him. But like for Jake, Liam Hogan, Ewan McLeod, people like that, to get to John Todd, for example, get to play with Dennis Mehmet as well, and listening to an experienced player in such the way Dennis handles himself in the goal and his communication skills, it's great for their development. It was a good performance. More importantly, at that level, it's what it's about. But we had lost 2 games, and I know Monty and Joe, they were disappointed with that. They had lost their 2 league games, so they were desperate to go and get the win in that as well. And the players were excellent for them, so delighted with that. Delighted with the younger kids, and as I say, when the squad's full, there was a possibility that there could have been 5 senior players with that reserve squad. We'll use those games as to benefit the full football club. It's not just about getting people minutes, it's about developing young players as well, and giving players game time coming back from injury, or just a game at times when they've not been in our team for a while or not been in the first team. But the way the squad was at the minute, it was a young squad that went down, but they went down and they put on a good show for the football club.
How do you view the game against Arbroath this weekend?
It's going to be really tough. I know they lost their game last weekend, but prior to that they had won 5 out of 5. One was a SPFL Trust Trophy against Championship opposition, so they're in a good run of form prior to the game last week. So they're well organised, they're a good side. We have a very good and experienced manager and backroom team, so they'll have a game plan. But the most important thing for us is we get back to a level of performance that's acceptable within the group and acceptable for this football club and the fans that get behind us. So that's the big aim for that, and that's what we've been working on all week. So all our focus has been on ourselves and how we can get back to being the way we have been for every single game apart from Partick.